And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. This is the show where we talk St. Mary's University athletics, and this is our final show of the 2018 and 19 academic year. I'm Dean Beckman along with my co-host Donnie Netto. Donnie is the Sports Information Director for St. Mary's. And on our last program of the year, we've got Brian Sisson. Brian is our Athletic Director for the Cardinals. And Donnie, on this last show each year, we like to do a State of the Athletic Department report. And who better to provide it than our athletic director? Right?
Yeah, and it'll be interesting, this is Brian's first year here at St. Mary's, so to get him on and kind of talk about the year that has transpired and what's been good, what's been bad, what he's learned, it should be an interesting half hour.
Yep, absolutely. So Brian, the old saying goes, when you're having fun, time flies, right? You're 9 months in already about, right?
Sure,
and
yes.
As our athletic director, so give us just your thoughts on the realization that your first sort of academic year is coming to a close now.
Yes, I would agree wholeheartedly. I think as other ADs have come across or people in the industry, they say, ADs kind of go through, dog years, so to speak. So to be honest, again, October 1 just feels so far away. Again, we're coming up on 7.5, 8 months. It's been fantastic. I think the dynamic of myself and kind of family being in transition has really allowed me to dive in. And maybe, again, we'll maybe talk about balance a little bit. I think that's always something ADs and people in this industry can work on. But yeah, I think things have been fantastic. I still I want to try to play that 1 year card as long as I can. So it's not been a full year yet till October 1 in the fall. But at the end of the day, yes, full academic year pretty much. And we're excited about, graduation week, graduation on Friday. And, again, just kind of from day one to now, a lot going on. I think the community, the campus, I said in our interview in the fall, just everyone's been great, through the transition and stuff. So, obviously when you throw in the dynamic of, really just me being on campus and living in the dorms for 7 months, which was a great experience. With all that, I think it's worked out as best as possible, for me, and then obviously also getting acclimated to campus.
Can you talk a little bit about this first year in terms of getting to know St. Mary's? Obviously, you come in, you knew about St. Mary's, but now you're part of St. Mary's. What's been the reaction for you in terms of what you've seen in St. Mary's?
Yeah, I think, for me, I think something I kind of pride myself just to begin with, but I think which has been a great, getting on campus is just kind of the communication and connection to whether it's our staff, our student athletes, just campus in general. I think the communication aspect has been great, and just the support and things like that. So, again, campus dynamic of, we're not 10, 15, 20,000, students. It's that small kind of intimate setting and in a good way. But for me, I think just right away, I think, people just being so, generous with their time and meeting with me and just really kind of that family, culture. So that struck me, 2 weeks into the job and just getting to know all our staff. So, for me, I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and maybe talk too a little bit about the importance of athletics at St. Mary's. We've got over 30% of our student body are varsity student athletes.
Yes.
And when you drive onto campus, we've got the softball field, the baseball field, the track and field complex. So It is a very visible and important and viable part of our campus community, isn't it?
Yes, without a doubt, over a third of our students are student athletes, and just in general, our students are very active. Student athletes, non-student athletes, just a lot of things going on, and I think that's good. For me, obviously all the different facilities. Again, a campus that is not extremely large, but even more than, hey, you see athletics right in front of your face. When you come to campus and all our different facilities, and moving forward. I see that even being more so with things we're trying to do with branding, and we can talk about some other things and stuff like that. But I think, again, just kind of stepping on campus and going forward, I'm on the strategic planning committee, which has been a great experience for me. I just view athletics becoming, more and more in the big role of campus. So
you mentioned you come on campus in October and hit the ground running. Have you had a chance to sit back, catch your breath, and kind of assess where you've come from day one to now in terms of being an athletic director. This is your first official AD role. You have been an associate athletic director, but this is your ship now. Have you had a chance to kind of sit back and assess how you've done this first year?
Yeah, no, I think so. For me, maybe more so when I'm, driving back to see family or, on the road or something like that, you get a minute or two. I think for me, with everything, I have time. Going back to the communication piece, meeting all of our staff, that first month. I've had team interviews with all of our teams, just me and the student athletes, which has been great. We have exit interviews for our seniors after their season. So just all those different pieces of kind of communication have really, again, allowed me to dive in and understand our department. I think like meeting structures have been put in place. I think I'd like to say, our staff, Donnie, Dean, you guys included, hopefully kind of see where I operate in things. I know obviously just going through the whole academic year, still the summer and just again, figuring out what everything is, all the different seasons. But I think when I have time, in the evenings or on the road, it's good, and I'm always trying to, again, keep my schedule up to date and be available. I think that's so important in the line of work we have. We know there's a lot of nights, weekends, and hours, but I think the biggest thing for me, and I'm proud of it, and I think any AD wants to do that is they want to be available. And so again, you have 900 different things going on at the same time, but available for your student athletes most importantly, and then staff and those who put the department together. So.
What's been your biggest challenge? What's been the thing that maybe has hit you that maybe you didn't expect as you accepted this job?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great professional development opportunities, and I'm a huge proponent, but just nothing prepares you for sitting in the chair. Nothing does. So I think just the mass amounts of information that maybe you weren't getting in a role, prior to that. And I think just, balance. Again, I talk about, my family, kind of being back home, and they'll be joining me about 10, 12 days, which is great, full time.
But who's counting, right?
Yeah, exactly. But, I think for me, balance, right? So, we work a lot of nights, weekends, taking work home with you and diving in. I would say, and again, I family, we'll see this and stuff, but in a sense, with that transition, it has allowed me to dive in, and I would say I'm ahead of maybe where I'd be, if it wasn't. And I don't mean that in a bad way, by any means. I think anyone in this industry can understand that, but it has allowed me to, I think, maybe be a little bit ahead of the curve. So, but I think balance is one, just prioritizing. I think that's something where, what this role is. You get a lot of people who want to talk to you, whether that's internally, externally, and things like that. And it's just, hey, end of the day, it's what can I do each day to make the best impact, on our department and stuff. So I think that stuff can be tough, I think, for any leader. So,
and you brought up quite a bit about the work-life balance, and you also have to sort of supervise that for your coaches and your employees too, and so that's got to be a challenge. It's not just your work-life balance and your family's balance with you being gone and all of that, but the employees too. So how do you try to communicate with the athletic staff to make sure that they've got the right balance?
Yeah, I think I've hopefully shown, again, going back to kind of the availability part, as Donnie would know, hey, you can reach me at any time. I may not answer on the spot, but I will get back to you in a timely fashion. I think that's important. I hope I've kind of stressed that to staff. But at the same time, and again, where we're at in Division III and just college athletics in general, I think where balance can be found, this is the best, area, to find that at our level. But for me, I'm always just a proponent of, I judge one another on their work and their job, and to me, it's not micromanaging, and I'm not, going to Donnie's office at 6 a.m, hey, or whatever it is, like, hey, you're here, not here. To me, it's just, hey, doing your work and putting us in the best possible, whether it's your program or just the department overall, to succeed. So I think, that's what I believe in. I think I'll always kind of be that way, is just, hey, do your work and put in the time. Yeah.
One of the signature things that you've done now in your early tenure here, you talked about branding, and now we have a partnership with Under Armour, which is certainly an important part of your branding process. So can you talk a little bit about that that partnership, and then where you see that blossoming too?
Sure, yeah. And again, we didn't all plan this, but right, so our vendor would be very happy, Under Armour would be happy. So yeah, to me, I think it was just walking into a situation and being familiar at past stops. We got along and it was fine and everything, but there's just a lot of kind of all over the place, a couple teams doing this, a couple teams doing that, and I think for me, in this day and age, I think just the brand and more than anything, especially in athletics, means something. It's very strong, and I think our Cardinals logo and everything is fantastic. But for me, it was how do we kind of get everyone in our department under one umbrella, and that's obviously in competition. It's our internal, external bases, of support and people coming out to games, and just across campus. I think moving forward, one of the things, and we've already kind of been working on, is I think our student athletes, our staff, our alumni and benefactors, our just general fan support, they will see coming into next year where we'll be branded, I think, at our facilities, and they'll be able to see and know, hey, Under Armour and our partners, who we are with. And I think that means something. I think, brand is always strong, whether it's the athletics brand, the university brand. And I think too, from a recruiting standpoint and 18 to 22-year-olds and potentially older, maybe depending on the sport, I think that means something. And you're seeing a lot more too at the high school and even younger levels and stuff like that. So it's been important. I think it's a great, thing for us, a 5-year agreement. And things have been great, to start. But we're excited too. And again, it's not a hey, you sign it the next day. It's a process. We'll get there. But we're really happy, and I think it'll be good for us.
One more question in this segment, and then we'll transition into some of the specific athletic successes of this next year. But part of the St. Mary's brand, of course, is the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. And
Sure.
I know you've gotten a good chance to know Dan McCain, the executive director for the league. Your impression of the league now that you've seen kind of a full year of competition in most of the sports?
Yeah, again, new coming in, it was one of the strongest, and arguably you can say strongest, in Division III. Everything I've seen has further etched that and solidified that. I think the league is fantastic. We're fortunate enough, and again, the whole league, again, from a travel sense, everyone's in the same state. There's just a lot of things I think that work well with it. I would say Dan is fantastic in just the commissioner and the office and everything. They do a fantastic job. Again, back in the fall, was fortunate to go to each campus and connect with the ADs and get to know the league and the landscape. I just came back from AD league meetings just the last 2 days at St. Ben's, and it was a great time, and they were very gracious hosts. But yeah, I think the league is fantastic. I think it keeps getting stronger. And I think the parity, across is so great. So I think, again, it's a great opportunity to be in, and yeah, it's been great.
All right, that's going to do it for this first segment. Brian will stay on the show here, and we'll look at some specific athletic successes at St. Mary's University during Brian's first year. That's next here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC.
Businesses of all sizes demand results. That's why HBC provides digital solutions for every business, from startups and entrepreneurs to large corporations. HBC is local. Our team of customer service reps and business specialists are your friends and neighbors. HBC will take the time to understand your business and recommend a tailor-made solution. HBC delivers a competitive edge for a competitive price. Let HBC Business Solutions take your business to the next level. Call 888-474-9995 today.
Be sure to check out US Golf TV, where you are going to see golf products that you have never seen before. You're also going to see golf tips from some of the leading instructors around the country that are truly changing the way people are teaching the game and challenging the status quo. Also, you're going to see fitness tips that are revolutionizing the way PGA Tour pros are training their body and swinging the golf club. If you want something different, if you're looking for some new information, US Golf TV has it. Be sure to check your local listings. US Golf TV, we've got you covered.
And we're back here on the very last Cardinals Nest of the 2018-19 academic year at St. Mary's. Brian Sisson, our athletic director, is giving us kind of a state of the athletic department. And Brian, of course, all of what we do for in the athletic department at St. Mary's is for the student athletes, right? And there's actually a couple of events coming up this week, both today and Friday, where we'll honor the graduating seniors, because as much as we like to tout their experiences on the court, field, etc., they are students first, right? And so we want to celebrate their graduation.
Yes, no, I always kind of go back and have heard this from others. And again, if you don't, I think everyone believes that within our industry is, again, academics first. They're here for the reason to get their degree. And for me, that's our Super Bowl, right? To use the sport lingo, but like it's our Super Bowl, graduation. So for us today, just because, as you can understand, and across the country, you can't, these scheduled sporting events happen well in advance, and we can't just say, hey, graduation, can you move, this way, that way? No. So we take care of our spring student athletes who fortunately are still in competition, but cannot be at the graduation on Saturday, and we'll have an event this afternoon at 2 o'clock, about 10 of our student athletes. And then on Friday, for all those student athletes, again, who can make it for senior graduates, we're launching, putting together a senior send-off. So a good way for just the senior student athletes to kind of connect with each other. Their families are invited, friends. We'll have some food, drink, and take some photos, and just kind of a quick. We understand they're probably going out with their parents, for dinner later that evening, and some other things going on. But I just think a good way to obviously again show our support and the importance. At the end of the day, this is why they came. So. And then obviously, Saturday with our graduation. So,
it's a really busy time on campus. But let's kind of rewind and just take a look at the seasons that we had in terms of the successes. You look at our winter seasons, three of our four team sports. Women's basketball, both hockeys are in the playoffs. We've got baseball in the playoffs. We've got tennis. Women's tennis was in the playoffs. And since this is taping now, it's my privilege to announce that Jeff Hallberg was our named MIAC Coach of the Year, and Laura Sande, our senior women's tennis player, earned the Chris Everett Award, which is the most prestigious MIAC award that can go to a women's tennis player. So those two great honors for them.
Breaking
Julia
news from
Baby
Donnie.
was
I
honorable
like
mention,
it.
and Colleen Lois was also all conference. So those four, it's outstanding for them to be honored, and kind of nice that we can announce that it'll come out this afternoon. So it's great honors for them. So it's been a really successful seasons on the field of competition. Talk a little bit about that from your perspective as the AD.
Yeah, I think again coming in, 5 teams, getting in the conference tournament, like you mentioned, is fantastic. I think for me, right, one of the my goals, and right, I'm here to help in any way I can to make this happen. Is how do we get, and again, it's not overnight, but how do we get to where across the board, that's kind of becoming the expectation. Where all of our teams are in the conference tournament, and going back to, hey, then from there, kind of that upper third, competing for a conference championship, getting the NCAA tournament, kind of going from there. So I was really, even going back to fall, I know I came in October. Again, I think looking forward to next year. I think both soccer programs, again, volleyball, cross country, I think we're on the right, trajectory, moving forward. Golf, again, I didn't see everything, but I think going forward, that's key, and I think I'm looking for a good fall. Winter sports, again, 3 of the 4 was fantastic. Spring, tennis you mentioned with all the awards coming today, which is great. Was able to see just a great group of ladies, and Coach Hallberg again did a great job. They had 11 match winning streak, our best in school history. So. Those are all very good positives. And then baseball. I'll be up there tomorrow in St. Paul. It should be cold. I wish we could just get some nicer weather, but that's okay. Gotten used to that. But yeah, so hopefully, again, baseball's had a really strong year. Pulling for them, and hopefully, this could be that year again, kind of breaking through and getting, potentially, hopefully, NCAA tournament. So, but yeah, I think overall it's been good. Steps have been kind of put in place, and I think for a lot of those programs, we've got young teams. We're very young in a lot of sports and stuff, so I think the future with everyone coming back, very, very bright.
And then, of course, not only with baseball making the playoffs, but we also kind of broke in a new clubhouse this year, too. And
We
you
did.
just recently had a public showing of that, where it was
Yes.
kind of a grand opening showing
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
public. How'd that go?
Yeah, no, it was a great turnout. Again, weather and everything. We ended up not playing that day, but I think for the elements, we still had a really good turnout. It was great to see the alumni come out and those who supported with the clubhouse. And I think even going back to kind of one of the the positives is obviously this baseball clubhouse and what that's done for that program and for our university and moving forward, and we're extremely grateful. But I think just kind of on that facility front. We are in the process now of creating space for our softball team, for them to have a locker room, again, to their own, and every team across the board to have their space. In addition, we did some things the last couple months to help with storage and just some other things kind of across our programs. And then in addition, we'll do some things this offseason to help with our hockey locker rooms and some other things. So I think, again, all those things are good, for us in growing. Again, the balance of obviously wanting to do things that help, all student athletes. So I think that, has been really positive. And I think just kind of going forward, I've had a chance to sit down with all of our coaches and get, their needs and wants and wish lists and things. And then I think, athletics will be, a big part of that next, for me, plan for the university and what items are on there. So kind of continuously, revising and putting that together now. But I do, I think those are important. And I think something like the clubhouse, people see, obviously the people have been able to come in, and there's been a lot of people who've gone in that clubhouse since January, which is great. But just, the positive response, and I think just people seeing, the impact that's made. And again, I would say, again, going back to the baseball program, Nick's done a great job, working with alumni, and obviously, really all alumni driven. But at things like that, we hope again, right? People catch on and see that and want to, come back and help St. Mary's in other ways in athletics and overall. So that's been very positive. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, because you do see it probably maybe as much as I do, but the support that our student athletes get from the rest of campus. And I don't know if you can compare that to places that you've been before, but it seems to me like our faculty and staff and our students that are not athletes really do support the teams that are competing, and whether it be, there were 50 people at the women's tennis match, their final one, and the place was packed. It was, and they weren't just student athletes; there were a lot of students there. So talk a little bit about that connection that we've made with the rest of the student body.
Yeah, I think to your point, and I'll even start with Dean here. I think the support we have across campus with our faculty, our staff. Having Dean who's doing this, on a weekly basis throughout the year, broadcasting everything. To have that support with your FAR is fantastic. But again, it goes more than that. Just all of our staff. At the same time, I think we probably can do more. But with a campus, again, our size, and I think just kind of that one-on-one attention, it's great because all of our staff and faculty, they know our student athletes. They know they're in competition. They're, great game. They're traveling and they're following their scores and things like that, where you're maybe not getting at every campus and stuff. So I think that definitely makes us unique, more community, mindset. And I think as we talk about community too, and me kind of looking ahead and different things that we can do, I think for me, it's kind of the next step is one, kind of that in-game experience. And again, I think certain, sports events, I think we overall get some good student support. But what can we do, to help that in-game experience? And then also just kind of get into the Winona community. I know Winona State's here, and I've gotten to know their AD very well, Eric. And again, there's obviously a place for both of us, and we're uniquely different. But I think for us, it's how do we have a better in-game experience, and I think things we can do, but then also the community. How do we get the community more involved? So that's for me something definitely looking a lot to do over the summer and into next year, and some things we can improve on. So.
As we continue to look forward at things, a couple of searches going on right now in athletics for both women's and men's hockey. So tell us about that process a little bit.
Yeah. So again, with any search, I think I think keeps you busy clearly. But for me, it's how do we do it as efficiently, and effectively as possible. For me, it's about getting those people in place who will join our group of coaches, moving programs forward, and really connecting with our student athletes as soon as possible, because obviously things with any search, just a transition piece, and what we want to do is obviously make it as best as possible for our student athletes, and so when those people get in place, to connect with our student athletes in communication, transparency, that's where this comes in, again, always, but even more so with things like this. So we're working diligently in that process, and obviously again, the next couple weeks, hoping to have those two new faces, and looking to connect with our student athletes and moving forward.
One of the big projects you've kind of got the ball rolling on is kind of a revampment, a reorganization, if you will, of the Cardinal M Club. Talk a little bit about where we're at with that. I know it's an ongoing project, but we have gotten the ball rolling on that.
And again, grateful to the Cardinal M Club. I think obviously more the norm. These days with as far as annual fund and fundraising and how important that is, not just athletics, anywhere on campus, but we're looking to just kind of rebrand. We'll have a new name, but right now working with University Advancement Communications, and we look to launch that in the fall. For us, it's more about encompassing everybody. Not just our alumni, but the corporate community. Partnerships in town. Surrounding community, alumni. Parents, family, friends. Really anyone. Who wants to help. Financially support athletics. So more information will be coming on that again as we kind of launch into the new academic year. And with that, just kind of a balance of what your year looks like and different ways to get involved. It's not always just hey. In a lot of ways, it's not always, cutting a check. Yes is great, but there's a lot of different ways to get involved. And for us too, I'm excited. We're looking to launch a kind of signature fundraising event, which we just haven't had in the past. So I'm excited about that, and I think something that everyone can kind of look forward to is hey, that one thing we do every year for athletics. Not that there won't be other things to do to get involved, but just with that whole thing, I think getting everyone involved. Kind of more on schedule, so to speak. And again, big part is collaborating and working with, advancement communications, and then also obviously the external, community. So excited for that.
So Brian, just about a minute left here. So real quick, anything we didn't ask that you think we should know about the athletic department? If not, what would you tell maybe a high school junior who's out there watching right now and they're an athlete? And how could you help your coaches out? What would you tell a prospective student thinking about playing a sport at St. Mary's?
Sure, No, I would say again, we have a fantastic, group of coaches and support staff who put, plenty of time and effort into making this a great place as it is. I think just that family feel, again, a lot of things for me, academics, community, the conference we're in. I mean, across the board, there's a lot of positives. But I would just say, again, it's just a very exciting time. And I hope, again, to see more, prospective students, now and in the next couple weeks, months, years. But for me, it's about, it's just a special time, I think, for St. Mary's moving forward. And athletics is a big piece about that. So, what can't you, be excited about that, going forward. So, again, we're looking forward to a great incoming, class for all of our programs. But just moving forward, and I'm more than happy to sit down and meet with any of them as well, as my schedule allows, as I've let our coaches know. But I think at the end of the day, it's an all across the board thing. All of our coaches and support staff, Donnie, yourself, everyone's helping out with that part. So
all right, Brian Sisson, our athletic director, wrapping up year number 1. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. All right. And the next time we talk to you, you're going to have your whole family in town. So that'll be nice, right?
Yes. Maybe we'll bring them on the next Cardinals Nest.
We could. So, all right. That's going to do it for our final episode for this academic year. Thanks so much for watching all season long on the Cardinals Nest here on HBC.